Whenever you're ready.
So the argument I'm responding to today is that the new law that is directed to preventing rape on college campuses will fail. The first claim stated that legal solutions fail to improve personal behavior. Although this is true, the new law, formerly called SB 967, will greatly educate students on what consent actually means. It pushes the idea to use yes means yes instead of no means no. In this way, one partner is not waiting for the other to say no, rather he or she is waiting for them to say yes. Educating and informing people in this way can actually change their behavior. It was also stated that the statistics haven't changed in the past 3 years. This is also true, but gives even more reason to support this law. It was only signed in September of 2014, a little over a month ago. If the statistics haven't changed in the past 3 years, it is not because of law SB 967. My opponent also states that 1 in every 5 women will be or has been a victim of sexual assault. This information was collected in December of 2011, according to NewYorkTimes.com. There is no reason to say this new law can't change this, especially since it has only been in effect for a month. Her second claim is that the law fails to explain how colleges should deal with these issues. It is actually stated in the law itself that in order to receive state funds for student financial assistance, the governing board of each community college district, the trustees of the California State University, the regents of the University of California, and the governing boards of independent post-secondary institutions shall adopt a policy concerning sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking as defined in the Federal Higher Education Act of 1965. The law also states that the policy will include an affirmative consent standard and will require a policy statement on how the institution will provide appropriate protections for the privacy of individuals involved, including confidentiality. As for the statement, the new law doesn't explain what the new policies are and how colleges could apply them to help victims. The website leginfo.legislature.california.gov states the law in its entirety, which clearly shows every new policy and how colleges will apply them. Although it is true that in the past, colleges dealt with sexual assault policies different and some didn't deal with them at all, that is exactly why this new law has come to surface. This law requires all California State and University of California schools to abide by the new policies in order to get state funding, which is essential. Her third claim is that sexual assault is still underreported. However, because this new law is set to give worse consequences to the offender, it is probable that women will report it more. Once again, however, the law has only been in action for a month, so it is too soon to be comparing such statistics to its success. In conclusion, the Yes Means Yes law, or SB 967, has the potential to be a very helpful law. It clearly outlines the policies California schools must take to educate and inform students about the correct way to give consent. If students are better informed and have larger consequences for breaking this law, rape and sexual assault on campus can definitely be lessened.
All right, Stephanie, you labeled the advocate's main point pretty clearly. There's not really an outline of what the supporting points are going to be. You have to get to them as they come up. That's okay, but I still think it's not a bad idea to preview and remind us of what those points are before you get to them. There is a little bit of an attempt to shift the meaning of the law from the no means no policy to the yes means yes policy, but there's not really an explanation about how this law fixes and addresses that, and why we should believe that this law would in fact replace or alter that relationship. You have an argument about the statistics at first, the 1 in 5 will be raped, but basically you just come down, you don't really reject the statistic or challenge it in any way. It just comes down to, well, maybe we can reduce this. But I haven't heard any reason why it's likely to be reduced because this law, there's not even the author of the law being cited to suggest that it would have the impact that some of the advocates of the law say it would have. So I think that you're missing an opportunity there. You did transition to the second point very clearly. I appreciated that. Once again, you described the law, but you have a legitimate point here that says, look, the law is available, people can look at it, just look at it, but I'm not sure how just listing the law tells people how they're supposed to put this into play. You mentioned, for instance, that previous laws have been interpreted in different ways. Well, how is this law not going to be in that same situation? I didn't think that was very clearly explained. On the issue of underreporting, it's basically the same claim that you had before. Maybe that will change. And I do think you have a legitimate argument to say, look, this law has just been passed. The notion that it's not going to work hasn't been proven. We should give it a chance to work. I think that's a reasonable approach. But there are still reasons to believe that it might not work. And in fact, the advocate says that it's not going to have that impact. And I think you need to counter those a little bit more. But the idea of potential, I think, is a reasonable argument to make, but you have to make some claim for the potential. On the delivery, your voice drops out a little bit at times. You need to be a little bit more assertive. And it really felt like you were just reading a paper rather than giving a speech. You need to talk to the audience more, not just read out loud. All right, thank you.